What's going on, social media? So, we are on episode 74, and we're still talking about trending topics. And today we go talk about going green. And I have a special friend of mine and guest for tonight's show. And I'll let him introduce himself, right? So, AY, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yo, happy to be here. My name is A.Y. Young, and I'm one of the 17 United Nations Young Leaders of the world and founder of the Battery Tour. So I hope you guys can hear me pretty good.
Yeah, so tell everyone, our audience here, that what is the Battery Tour?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's funny. It's perfect for this going green concept. But I mean, I literally take solar energy, I store it in batteries, and I do a concert. So it's powered by
Wow.
renewable energy, right? But one of the best things about the battery tour is I use music as a vehicle, as a way to help people to get the world plugged in, to get the world access to energy, and really just make an impact. So I use the shows as ways to raise money and make impact where people need it.
Awesome. So, yeah, so let's talk a little about going green. So, we got Eldrick
Wow.
here, we got Jeremy, and
So
myself.
guys,
So, what does it mean to you when we're talking about going green when it comes to technology?
I I'm I can start first, but before that, I have a question for AY. Right? How big of a battery are you talking about for a concert? Because and how long do you have to, like, I don't know, travel
huh,
to, or put it out in the solar before you have enough power for a concert? I think I'm curious to know
yeah,
that.
I mean, right? I mean, everybody asks that question, and I think it's because like ultimately, and what the Battery Tour is great at is educating. I'm really about educating because you really have to understand energy, right? Like
Mm,
there's a battery in everything. What I'm doing is I'm storing energy. If you store enough energy, you can power anything. Now, traditionally the Battery Tour just had a ton of different batteries. Now I'm blessed to have some great partners. We've built a solar trailer that now can store up to 10 kilowatts of energy, right? But
mm-hmm.
10, but before I had the huge solar trailer that's like 10 kilowatts of stored energy, I was using little batteries, little outlet box. I call it the outlet. But I was doing 8 to 10 hour shows.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
So for me, an 8 hour show is bro. Kevin used to come to those.
Yep, I remember. So, yeah, so I met AY. So, just to give you guys a little backstory, has it been almost 6 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
So,
Wow.
I remember my kids were probably only one or two, and he used to perform. We have an area in Kansas City called the Plaza, and he used
Mm-hmm.
to be a street performer. And so he would perform with his battery, and he had this concept about, taking, a battery and powering this concert. Literally, these things look like car batteries, right?
Mm,
and
mm.
and
Yeah.
so, like, talk about humble beginnings, right? So, AY, it was the X Factor, right? What's the show you were originally on?
Yeah. See, I got my start in the X Factor, and before I met Kevin out there, because he was like one of the first businesses and people that kind of helped me out, on the marketing angle. You know what I'm saying? Back in the CO days. But yeah, I was on the X Factor TV show, 4 yeses. Yep. It was Britney Spears, it was Demi Lovato, L.A. Reid, Simon Cowell. Those were my judges. Like and my
Wow.
mentors. And yeah, and I kind of really I just got off the show and I was like, man, I want to say hey to the world. I want people to hear my music. I made a song called Say Hey, and that's when I, started asking people in Kansas City, artists would come to Kansas City, try to find their manager, try to open up for them, right? You want to open up for a big artist who's got a lot of fun, and I would get hit with, how many followers do you have, or they would be like, how many tickets at your last tour? So, and I haven't sold no, I've just got off the TV show. So that's when I was like, okay, I obsessed over energy. I found out it was the base resource. Like everyone needs energy, right? You need it in your food, you need it in your right, you know. And I that's when I figured out, wow, you can store energy in batteries. And that's when I picked the Country Club Plaza and said, I'm gonna get, plugged into my community. I'm gonna grow this. I'm gonna do a show every day because that's what Ed Sheeran's doing. That's what Andy Grammer does. That's what Bruno Mars does. These guys are doing shows every day, and so I really believe we should be living our life doing what we love. And so, yeah, it was great to meet Kevin in those days of doing what I love every day, man.
And still doing it now every day. Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great to hear. Thanks
Yeah,
for the
so that's how
backstory.
we first met each other, right? So, and then from then on, AY's, he's got different grants, and then because of the renewable energy concept, and tonight's show is about green technology, right? And that's what really sets AY apart, because he's more than just a performer. He's taking something that we all know is happening with the world. Like, the world isn't getting better. The planet, is getting worse because of human consumption and the way we live and the way we're wasteful. And I mean, like right now, Jen and I were we're shopping for a new vehicle, and we're looking at EV vehicles, right? So, just look at Elon Musk, Tesla, and everything, right? Everything is going in that direction. So I think a combination of AY's talent and just a concept that was just so different, that separated him from other artists, because he's more than just music, but he's also about the planet and, just bringing change to the world and getting people plugged into this concept and bring renewable energy to even third world countries. So let's talk about this a little bit.
Yeah.
When it comes to green technology, right? And I asked you guys this earlier. I would love to hear Eldrick, Jeremy. Is it big in Asia? When it comes to the East? Yeah.
I think there are a lot of talk about sustainability, but to be honest, I have this topic with in the course of my work, because we're looking for awards to submit for sustainability. I don't know why that word has been catching on very recently. And if you ask me if I look at APAC as a whole, I think probably it only makes sense to two countries, right? Namely, what comes to mind will be Australia and Japan. Okay, I think these two countries will be really more focused on that. I think the rest of Asia, probably not much so. It's still about consumption. I mean, Audrey, feel free to correct me if you feel otherwise. That's my own impression. But back to your question on green technology, right? Before we even go to the technology piece, I think to me, the concept of going green really is to reduce wastage. If you ask me, from a very basic level, if we can all reduce wastage of energy, water, whatever that is, or reduce your consumption of, drinking from disposable plastic bottles and, ditching the plastic bottle away, I think that is the first step to going green before we talk about the technology to do more. I think if it starts from everyone, I think we can really make a huge difference. But I think that's also the toughest part. But in terms of green technology, right, due to my previous life in my previous work, I think I'm more attuned to water wastage, because in my previous job, we circle a lot around saving water, tracking water, and what we call non-revenue water, which is basically water that is being used by the public service, for example, that is not charged to anyone. For example, your fire departments, right? Those water that they used to put out fires, that's not charged by anyone. And I think and non-revenue water also refers to waters that are leaking due to pipes that have been in the ground for years. And usually these leaks are very small leaks, and they go on years undetected, and that's where water wastage is a problem. And the technology for that really, there are a few, right? One of them will involve sending a little mini probe down to the pipe to detect leaks, some like a sonar kind of a piece of equipment that goes through the pipe with the water to detect leaks, and then you dig up and plug the leaks. So that's really to me when it comes to mind, right? About going green. I'm more inclined towards the water side because based on my experience as well as my knowledge of, that only 1% of the world's supply of water, 1%, is portable that you can use and drink. The glaciers, all that being one source of it, but only 1%. And the problem with us is that human population is always growing, and the way we use water is increasing, right? Remember, in the past, we probably don't eat so much meat, but now we have a lot of consumption of meat, and it takes out a lot of the water to feed the cows or the animals, and even more to process and wash and cook the meat. So all this escalates on top of a limited supply of water. And I think that's where, I feel that it's going to be the biggest problem coming on, because, the saying is that, water is the new oil. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. So I'll just leave it at that first. I think there's a lot of information.
I
What do you guys
wasn't I wasn't thinking or equating water to green energy to begin with.
Mhm.
I was thinking along the lines of clean energy, because I think about green energy and then about clean energy. And usually when we say clean, we are referencing it to non-crude based sources of energy, because to process crude to get to energy takes a lot of work, and
Yep.
as a byproduct of that, we generate a lot of pollution. I mean, of all types. I do think that with respect to what Jeremy just mentioned, Asia Pacific is catching up, but there are limitations in terms of converting components of the traditional energy sources to green, partly because the cost of green energy per unit, although it has been coming down for the past decade, is not low enough for mass adoption. So today we see a lot of solar panels out there in Singapore, a lot, and they're at the rooftops. So I think institutions are embracing it. So we have an authority, which is an execution arm of a ministry. We call that the Building and Construction Authority. They encourage the use of green designs and green energy when you refurbish a building or when you construct a building, and they give you incentives for that. So it is to your benefit to have panels, to have greenery out there, and they encourage you to have plants, not in your buildings because it creates greenhouse effects, but on top of your buildings. So think about it this way. This is how they think. So you have a piece of land. You got to remove the trees, the plants, and whatsoever to have a building. So they say, okay, we are land scarce, and development is important. Sustainability is important. Green is also important. How about this? At your rooftop, plant your trees. So from an aerial view, it's still green. So you erect a building and you plant your trees there. So that is a cycle of reforestation, so to speak, within the concrete jungle. So I think that's the direction that we are moving in. And if I'm not wrong, about 3 years ago when I was part of a convention on practical green energy application, we did bring across some of these designs to Thailand because they are rapidly urbanizing, and Vietnam, and they are very interested in it, partly because so to speak, third world developing countries, their number one priority is economic growth and development. So they don't mind having sustainability and green energy on top of it, not
At the expense
despite
of.
that. Yeah. So I think that's the way we are going, and it's a benign way of adopting green energy as the way to go. I wasn't thinking about water. It's a very unique angle.
So that's why I'm on the show, right? I do something different.
Do you prepare for the show to begin with?
And I agree
No,
with Eldrick. I think with the way, the world is today, I mean, it's very obvious that, we can see the need for green energy, especially, in third world countries where, hey, power isn't always accessible, right? And also, it's expensive, to power different things. So I wanted to ask AY, can you share with our audience, so how did you end up with the UN?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and man, I love what you guys are saying. I really love. I was trying to look for the term, but kind of rooftop farming. It reminds me of the regeneration of the regenerative agriculture idea of what we need to be doing with our food in general. Which I got to definitely give a shout out to Paul Hawkins. He's my mentor. He wrote a book called Project Drawdown, which is like the manual on like how to do this, and now he's reintroducing with his second book, The Regeneration, and a lot of what you guys are saying is exactly what we can do. Now, how did I become a young leader? Sometimes I like to say I have no idea, but really, man, since I, started doing those 8 to 10 hour shows, then I started taking the donation money that people would throw me, on the street corner. People would throw me $5 or $10, right? And then I would take that money, and I had this concept, that everyone was an outlet, because it was a battery tour, and then people would say, oh man, we're your outlets, we power the tour, when they would give me, $5. So then I was like, well, everyone in the world's an outlet, and I got to go get them all plugged in, right? So I went from city to city and state to state, and as I would travel America, I found out that in the U.S., there are places that don't have, internet, right? There's places that don't have electricity, or it runs out, or like by the end of the day, a certain time, or the grid's not, very reliable. And that's when I was like, okay, well, I got a bunch of stored energy. Everyone's an outlet. I started Googling in the car just like this, found out 1 billion people in the world don't have energy, bro. And that's when I was like, okay, well, if everyone's an outlet and there's 1 billion people who are not plugged in, I got to build. Fast forward, I powered over 800 concerts. I've helped bring, renewable energy to over 17 countries. And I think that's why the UN picked me to kind of represent one of the 17 sustainable development goals. They have these 17 global goals. One's called Goal 7, which is about everyone needs to have access to energy by 2030, right? There's also a Goal 6, a water goal, clean water and sanitation. Like, we all need to have clean water. So resonating with me there when you were talking about water, man. And so, yeah, I'm one of the 17. I'm just the only one from the United States, And so I think there's a big responsibility that I have, I guess, to be like this leader for the youth of America and to bring them into going green. You know what I'm saying? In all the sense of the word, guys.
I want to add on what Aldrich mentioned, right, on energy in terms of development and all that. Earlier, I said that in terms of sustainability, you have countries like Australia and Japan that are like more, I would say, mature. And the rest of the countries, I think most of them, like what Aldrich mentioned, right, is development first. Sustainability, nice to have, but not must have. But I think, especially in Australia, they have been very mature in the sense that a lot of the houses have solar panels. And my understanding is that I think for the past decade or so, they have no need to add on any more power regeneration, because within the grid themselves, everyone is generating enough power to sustain their own usage. In fact, because of battery technology, they have the open market, right, whereby if they collect enough energy stored in the battery, they can sell the electric power back into the grid to other users who are not maybe generating enough. So in that sense, I think is a very good example of how incentivizing or enabling you an end user to store and sell that energy back, if you have accumulated or not, a lot of it back into the market. I think that is actually one good example on how we can see, and really shows that it works if the market forces, incentivizes you to do so. And I think Australia is a great example, where they make use of really good battery technology, solar, to sustain themselves electricity-wise. So I just want to put it out there because I think it's a good example for many countries to learn. But also, they have a lot of land area and a lot of people live in low-rise houses. That also enables that adoption faster. But in most part of Asia, it's very hard because we live in high-rise. There isn't that much rooftop space to achieve what Australia has achieved. But I also think that a lot of countries don't have this system whereby you can sell the electric power back to the grid. So it's a market forces thing. And if more people adopt that, maybe, just maybe, yeah, more people will do solar panel and be more aware, right? Because you have technologies, right? Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say microgrids. Like I don't know if you know what microgrids are, but in my opinion, we as people, as humans, in whatever city or country we're in, should be storing and sharing more energy. That's what's not happening. What's not happening? There's a lot of sunlight. We're not capturing that energy. We're not.
Oh, I think he froze.
I was going to say because yeah, it was saying like sunlight is like free. We're not capturing it, right? I also know that there are like technologies whereby solar panels are integrated into your windows. So there's additional surface area where you can capture solar power and generate as electricity. Hey, AY. Yeah, sorry. I was just sharing, right? You were saying about solar power, we're not capturing enough. Yeah. So actually, I think there are microgrids. Yeah. Yeah. There are panels on windows that can really absorb solar power and convert that to electricity. I think that's also one technology that, for places that have high rise, not so much space for solar panels on the rooftop, to do that, adopt that technology on their windows, and you can actually capture a lot more electricity. And that's, I think, one kind of a way to go green, clean energy.
I think it's interesting too because of your talk about green energy and capturing everything, right? The amount of fuel. I know there's that debate, right? This, happens. I've been shopping for EV vehicles, and I was just learning a lot about it, right? So do you feel EV vehicles actually the technology, right? When we talk about Tesla and all these brands, it's almost like all these car brands are racing, even in China, to create electric vehicles, right? But do you really feel the electric vehicles are actually burning less fuel, or is it there's a debate, right, going on? Love to hear everyone's thought on that.
If I may go first, yeah, I think it depends on the source of the energy that's producing the electricity, right? I think, if I'm not wrong, Singapore, I think it's primarily natural gas, fossil fuel for energy. Natural gas, that's right. Yeah, most natural gas. Fossil fuel, yeah, not so much.
We are 96% natural gas.
Natural gas, yeah.
And so about 3% fossil fuel plus the rest. Yeah.
So in that sense, the source of energy that's used to create the energy, the electricity, not so green, yeah. And so even at the end of the day, you are using an EV. It is the electricity has been generated by not so green. It's not solar. It's not wind. Then I guess, yeah, probably it just makes the user of the EV feel good. But at the end of the day, you're not doing anything to contribute to going green and helping the technology. That's my view, yeah.
What's your thoughts, Kevin? Since you did the shopping on the EV.
I don't know. I have both, right? I do think it's less gas, less fuel usage. For me, is cost savings. I'm just gonna be honest with you. It's the saving of gas prices going up. The savings of fuel. Paying for fuel. But at the same time, it's very obvious, I believe in global warming because you're feeling the impact, right? There's a reason why in Antarctica, the glaciers are melting, right? There's reasons why we're experiencing hurricanes and all these different things, right? Like, I think if you have an educated mind, you can see there's a problem, you know. And if we continue the way we live, you know, even with COVID, you know, happening with the virus and everything, it has to do with the way we eat, the way we live, the way we're consuming. You know, I think human nature, we overdo it, right? You know, and we're starting to feel the impact, and I think that's the reason why are Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk and all of them figuring a way to, you know, go to Mars. There has to be a reason. It's not just because they're wealthy and they're trying to prove something. They're like, get me the hell out of here, you know. You know, so I think there's a reason. So I think it's very real. It's a topic that I think everyone's focusing on, and that's why United Nation, you know, have people like AY representing and trying to, you know, put together these goals and different things. So, AY, so when you talk about those 17 goals, right? And I know you're connecting to a lot of different music artists that are known worldwide. What is the main buy-in for them to be a part of this green energy adaptation?
Right. I mean, I'll say it's a couple of things, and a couple of things may not sound like the best thing. I mean, for one, everyone's talking about sustainability. Like you say, going green and sustainability, it's all kind of wrapped around the same concept that everyone's caring about, right? Like it's gotten to the point now where like people will like maybe get a plastic straw and get cussed out on social media, right? Like, what are you doing with that plastic straw? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not even cool anymore, you know, to not, it's almost cooler to do yoga, you know, post yoga pics, you know, eat vegan, etc. so forth. It's becoming a trend. So what you do have is a lot of, you know, managers, labels like talking to their clients, which is their artists, you know, hey, say something about that sustainability stuff, you know. Your fan base cares about it, you know. So there's this whole thing now where people, they have to almost take a stance, right? It was kind of like, to a degree, the Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter kind of situation where you almost had to say something. You almost have to kind of take a stand, you know. And so there's that climate there where everyone's, and there's a lot of artists that are looking to make a stand without alienating anybody, right? You know, so it's a good time for a project like mine in the sense, and I use the framework of the SDGs to reach both sides of the aisle, because at the end of the day, I love the broadness in the sense of like goal 6, everyone needs water, right? That has nothing to do with your age, your race, your sex, you know, who you're into, who you date, right? You know, like everyone needs food, goal 2. You know, no, everyone in the world, a human should have food. That's a goal you can align with, you know, no matter what God you pray to, right? Or where you're from on the planet, you know? So, you know, I would definitely say that this is definitely a time that people want to stand for something, and sustainability, climate, making an impact that's positive is now, I think, becoming cool. So it's putting me in a good position for sure to bring people together.
No, I definitely think what you're doing is cool, because it's not about making a stand now, because you have started this like long time ago before it was even like cool, right? So
Yeah.
that's really, that's the real cool, not the, oh, take a stand now to be cool thing. So thank you for doing that.
So what makes, this is a great topic too. I know it's a little, we've been talking about green energy, right? But I would say, you know, Eldrick, Jeremy, and myself, I wouldn't say we're experts in green energy, but why is it that today's youth, right? AY, since you're, you know, you work with a lot of them, you're around a lot of people. Why is it that young people today want to take a stance on mental health? Or it seems like mental health and sustainability are the two hot topics of, especially here in America. I can speak for the West, right? Why is that? Why is it so important for them to take a stance?
Oh, it is connected.
Perfect timing. You know. No, and I think we can circle back, but I,
Yeah.
I think it's true, right? I don't know how the youth in Asia is. I mean, Jeremy Eldrick, is this something they're taking a stance in, or is this more an American thing?
Oh, I think
I don't.
specific.
I don't think. I don't think it's an America thing. Sorry, Jeremy.
Yeah.
But I'll
No,
just
no,
make
go
a
ahead,
quick
go
comment. I'll just make a quick comment on that. I don't think it's a American thing. I think it's a first world thing. I think that countries where you see common poverty levels, so high poverty, low employment income, they won't think about it.
Mm.
If you can't feed yourself, I think
Yeah.
let's forget about the Asian mindset or the first world mindset and things like that.
Yep.
If you can't feed yourself, then it's a natural instinct that you want to survive, and that that is your main consideration and nothing else. So
Yeah.
it's a very first world thing. Oh,
Yo,
circle
I'm
back,
so
please,
sorry,
since AY
guys.
is
I
back. No worries.
Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm
No
back.
problem.
I got a call and then it like bumped me out. I get too many calls. I put it on do not disturb. You were asking a question though. Like I did want to try to answer that.
Yep. So, AY, I was just asking, why is it that the youth, right, in America, especially in the West, why are they wanting to take a stance so much in sustainability or mental health? It seems like those are the two hot topics that they're taking a stance on. I mean, we're on social media platforms tonight, and you can see all over your feed, right? Every 3 posts, someone's taking a stance on sustainability. Someone's taking a stance on, mental health.
Yeah. No, what I just think is that this generation is just we just get it done. Like Generation Z, Generation Y, like we don't wait. It's like when we find out something. I hope you guys can still see me.
We can
Yeah,
see
we can
you.
see you. We can see you. But your sound's breaking up.
And just to let our audience know, so AY was planning to do this at the hotel in Orlando, but he's
Ray,
running a
look
little
at
late. So,
I got stressed. Dude, this sucks. Can you guys freaking hear me? I hate traveling and trying to do a freaking StreamYard. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Can hear you.
Gosh dang it. My only point is that this generation just wants to get it done. Like they just don't play around. If they see someone being joked about, if they see someone not being accepted, they're just like change it, fix it tomorrow. We're not trying to wait 8 months for no policy, no governor, and no mayor to tell us we're done. And I think that's what this generation is about. Yeah.
Just do it already.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And Justin Manning here said, imagine if we fed the 77% of global soy to humans instead of what we currently do, feed it to animals, not to mention the corn, water, and land is wasted in raising animals to kill for. Food does not bleed. Oh.
Interesting.
That's an interesting point there, Justin. So I think it's neat because I think just watching, content today, since we're on the social media platform, right? And you see everyone's taking a stance in something. And I think young people today, it's like AY said, I think they're wanting to take action, right? But personally, me too, I think how many of the people are actually taking action and how many people are actually just hopping on the fad, right? Because I think, I agree with you to a certain point, AY, that, hey, people are here to make a difference today. But then what's really neat about you, AY, you're actually
doing
the motion to make change. I think a lot of
Yeah.
people are posting about making change,
Yeah,
but
I
they
mean
aren't.
the next.
Yeah.
That's the next step. It's like, well, I think what it is a lot of people, honestly, they just don't know what to do. Like, this is why we keep talking about straws, or we'll talk about like very good individual things, a couple of different things, right? Maybe turn off the light when you leave the apartment. But a lot of us don't really know what actions to take, and we don't really truly understand it. Like, even with energy, people don't even understand energy. There's a battery in every piece of device we really have. There's a battery in your phone. You know, a lot of people don't even know how batteries work and how energy storage works. You know, they think you just come home, you turn on the light, and it works. If it doesn't work, you call this number. You know, that energy doesn't work that way. Like, the grid was man-made, right? Like, you know, I think a lot of it is a lack of education, and people don't understand what actions they can take. So I think what I'm trying to do is definitely, and what this podcast could potentially help do, what you're doing here with Going Greener, is give people maybe a more simplistic, and just understanding of, like, maybe the actions they can take, as individuals, as companies, as business owners. Like, what can we do to actually regenerate, the world, regenerate it, because we've been destroying it over time as humans.
That's good. So I want to shout out to Jacqueline. Good morning, and thanks for joining us as well. And no, I agree. I think a lot of people don't know the steps to take, and I don't think, just like the pandemic, I don't think people feel the impact until it's almost too late, right? It's human nature, right? We keep consuming.
Yeah.
But we personally aren't really feeling the impact, right? You don't feel the impact when you eat a 16-ounce steak and you leave all your lights on, and you take 5 baths in your huge hot tub, and you drive your, a Porsche, 2 hours to work. Yeah, you're not feeling the impact, right? It feels great, So I think those are just real things. It doesn't affect me, so why should we care, right? And I think it's unique because you're taking a total different concept, AY. I know your heart was always about renewable energy, even before you started connecting to United Nations. I remember you were hauling equipment, up and down your stairs to just bring music to the streets, and now, you have this platform and you're able to sing about it. You're able to travel, connect with different folks, and just watching the growth of the battery tour and getting people plug in, right? But now, you're right about, like, we're not educated. People don't know, hey, what steps can we take? And also with this show, we're talking about trending topics, right? Like going green, and going green is a multi-billion-dollar industry. If you're in the stock market, which Eldrick is every day, right? There's substantial boom, and I think not everyone is doing it for the right reasons too, because there's money in it, and it seems like human nature. We go where the green is, right? So there's a lot of dollars in this industry, and I think that there's reasons why companies are buying it, and it's because there's money to be made, right? And I think that's part of why a lot of artists are also jumping on the bandwagon of, going green and different things like that. And so my question is it because they really care about the planet, or is it a stance that, hey, we can take and monetize off of it? So I think that's also a real topic as well. And I think it's neat because you do more than just music, right? And I seen, you when you made pennies, in the street, and slowly, where you are today. And you haven't changed. You're just working as hard, and just seeing you believe in something so much, right? And I remember you showing me these drawings of these batteries, and now it's really happening. We're getting closer every day. And so, AY, tell us a little about what does the future look like for what you're doing?
Yeah. Well, there's a whole bunch of what you're saying. You hop on the train, right? You hop on the train, you ride the wave. There's always that. But I think that just at the end of the day, I'm bringing a paradigm shift. Like, I'm glad you say, you guys haven't really changed. The same guy, this has always been my passion to get the world plugged in. I'm trying to bring a paradigm shift. Like, while everyone is to get back to just performing live, right? Which, by the way, most performances are carbon neutral and hurt the environment. I'm going to come back and just start it, performing like no one ever has, which is completely with renewable energy, right? When people are coming back to, artists are talking about the money they have and whatever, while the world's, blowing up around us, I'm coming with a message, about unity, about coming together and using the music as a vehicle to impact those 17 areas, to literally help people.
Slow down.
Well, hey, we got close.
Oh no, the best part's AY. You gotta repeat that.
Am I back? Nope.
You're back. You're back.
Yes? Oh,
You're back.
snaps, dude.
You said something about the 17. Yeah.
Oh,
You're back. You're back.
yeah, I mean, I'll say this. Like, hopefully it doesn't go out when I say this. Like, we all have social media, right? Like, I talk to these high schools and schools all the time, and I'll ask them, hey, who's your favorite TikTok influencer? Or they'll tell me, oh, my favorite artist is Cardi B. And I realize that as a society, we are following these people, and we have no idea what they care about. Like, what does Cardi B care about? Does anyone know? Does she care about trees? Does she care about water? Do you think that Cardi B cares about people, gender equality? I have no idea, right? Like, there are TikTok influencers with 100 million followers, and you have no idea what they care about at all. And what I've come to see on this project about the 17 goals is even a chance for Amigos, right? Amigos is an artist that built their foundation on money, women, and like sex. Literally. I mean, if they stepped outside of what they normally rap about, their fan base would probably attack them saying, you're not being genuine, right? I mean, they wouldn't even be able to get outside of where their lane. And this project that I'm doing is going to make it cool. It's going to enable to know what, to know what someone cares about and to make an action in that way. So I don't know, man. I'm trying to bring a paradigm shift to the whole industry, because we got to come together. And I know we're talking about standing for something. I mean, we need more out of these people that we follow, right? These leaders, these YouTubers with 100 million followers, but we know nothing about what they care about. It doesn't make any sense. It's crazy, man. Social media influencers. What are they influencing? You tell me what the D'Amelio sisters care about. Like, I mean, who? Right? But they're the biggest TikTok influencers in the world.
No, that's true. I mean, we live in a generation that's is in interesting times, right? We follow people with zero knowledge of. We buy things from people with zero knowledge of who they are, or what they provide, or their experience. I mean, we're on LinkedIn right now, going live, right? How many times have you paid for a coach of something or a consultant or something, but you never actually look at their resume? Right? Like, have they ever, ran a successful business? Were they a marketer, or did they work at Buckle, 3 months ago? We don't care. We live in a society. If they look right, and they talk right and they have followers, sign me up, right? You know, I mean, we sign up for, I mean, and this is something I'm passionate about too, because it's true, you know, like, would you go to a doctor to treat you cancer with zero med school experience or education on cancer, just because he went on YouTube and he's talking about medicine and cancer treatment? Any other generation would be a no. But I think in today's world, just because someone hop on YouTube and have a following, therefore I'm going to follow his steps to cancer treatment. You know, I mean, everything goes today. And I think,
true.
You know, and it's scary. It's sad. I mean, I see people sell things. You can be a mental health expert tomorrow because you went through some personal experience and you found healing in your mental health. And now you're coaching other people on mental health when you have zero knowledge of true therapy, right?
Yeah.
But you can be like, we take it to a whole other level. We can be anything we want, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and that may be an issue, right? I mean, because now, you know, you're in a world too where now you can release, you know, because of the algorithm, because of Facebook, Twitter, these different social media platforms, you can make music easy, release music easy, reach people easy, pay money to reach people. It's interesting, man. Like, I mean, if I have $100,000, I'm guaranteed to reach a ton of people if I put that money into marketing effort. Period. Facebook would gladly take the money and they would gladly reach whoever I asked them to reach, right?
Absolutely. And I think we're seeing this every day. I think is more prominent in the U.S. What about the East?
Yeah.
Jeremy Eldrick?
Yeah, totally.
What about what in the East?
It worked real well for us for a while.
Do people buy in to the whole influencer?
Still gone. Look, gone.
AY, we can still hear you.
We can hear you. Your screen is frozen. That's about it.
Yeah, don't worry.
Wow.
We can still hear you.
You look like you're digging your nose.
Oh, wow. It worked though for a minute, man. We right, you know, we've been doing good. We've been doing okay on this trip, guys.
No, don't worry.
Yeah,
Thanks for joining us while traveling. Yeah. Audrey, go ahead.
Yeah.
No, I just want to make a comment on what I see from Kelly's comment, that with the Spider-Man thing. I think it's true. I think that when we are all starting out on an initiative, a movement, and things like that, it's always about you know, me, what I believe in, what I want to do, and things like that. But as you gain traction, as you have more and more people coming to you because they subscribe to the same thinking, then you will at a point encounter mainstream issues. I'll give an example. So since we're talking about green energy, green technology, you know, the blockchain technology and DeFi as a whole, I think the idea is novel, and I think that it's brilliant for decentralization to happen. But if we talk about payment blockchains, if we talk about digital currencies, I mean digital currencies, not cryptocurrency, digital. And as you have more and more people come in to use the platform, you will run into mainstream issues. You will run into regulations you will run into regulators coming to you as if you are a banking agent, and that you have to know your customer, you have to do your anti-laundering, things like that. So let's be practical about the good things that we subscribe to. And I'm very impressed by you, AY, because you believe in something and you keep doing it. The point is, I think with topics like going green, climate change, sustainability, decentralization, technology, they are not individual domains. When they come, they filter through everything. They filter through everything. It's going to impact the way you think, the way you eat, the way you buy your things, the way you invest, and the way you run your business, right? So you have to be very clear. When we say that this generation or the younger generations, younger than me, say that we want change and we want it fast. Well, that's true if you look at the bureaucrats and you say, my gosh, these assholes, I mean, like the senators or the people in the House takes forever to pass a bill that's so simple, right? That's one side of the story. Because from your angle, you're talking about yourself or maybe your family and your community vis-a-vis a policymaker as opposed to government or parties, okay? As opposed to a policymaker that has to think about enacting a policy or passing a bill that impacts every single institution and citizen of the country. I'm thinking about it in that way because unless a new system that comes through is stable enough to replace the old one, then it would be too hasty to rock the boat. Too hasty. Back in the last decade, when everyone was talking about solar, and then panel, and then the next thing is, disasters are getting, on a
More
higher
severe, more
scale.
intense.
Yeah, and they are running out of Greek alphabets to describe them. We have to do wind. We have to do wind energy, right? So that's wind, windmill farms. But the point is, until we reach a tipping point where clean energy can flip the switch to support civilization as a whole, it would be very difficult for policymakers to say, we believe in going green, but we can't push the buttons yet because every single component in our economy runs on energy and we need it to be dependent. Now, I want to insert in an opinion on what I think is happening in Texas. I do not know why, but I think Texas of recent years has been pretty unlucky and unfortunate. Okay, coming from someone that's outside of America, I will look at winter, and then it goes dark, and it goes cold and things like that. Well, that's true, and that could be a failing of existing infrastructure vis-a-vis the drawbacks of the traditional energy sources. I think we have to be clear on that. So if you have an infrastructure that is incomplete or leaky, or for some reason things are falling apart, components are no longer attached, and the nexus is no longer working, regardless of the energy source, it's not going to fix the problem. So let's avoid hypocrisy. Let's avoid the endless meme chiming about solving the problems when we are just throwing buzzwords into this social media verse and whatever not, right? Because the people today, there will be people that's really solving the problems, and I'm very certain they are just solving the problems. They can't be bothered to talk so much and engage. They don't have the time to. If you're talking about a failing power grid and things like that, I don't have the time to talk to you on social media, dude. Neither am I going to listen to you, because you're not the one that's solving the problem. The person that can solve the problem is not the one that's posting on social media. The person that can solve the problem, when you talk to that person, he can go into at least 3 levels of details in terms of solving one problem. They can tell you, I've done this before and it failed. It failed here because, and this is my mistake. And we have to look into this and that, this and that, this and that. So how many of those people are there on social media? Now, don't get me wrong. There's very good people on social media. What I'm just trying to say is that there's a lot more people that's jumping onto the tailcoat of people who can solve problems that are, by and large, very few. Very few. And then we talk about influencers. I think influencers will eventually run into mainstream issues where their followers will start demanding that they put out good messages to take care of the environment, the world, the people around them. So it's no longer about me. If you continue to do that after having 1 million, 2 million, 3 million followers, you're going to see a decline because people are no longer interested in that. They want to know what you can do for the community. So I know it's a long string of takeaways and tapestries and things like that, but I think green is important. I think green technology, green energy is important, but let's be respectful of how far we have come. We are not at the tipping point yet. Let's put it that way, but we are moving in that direction. So this is my view.
That's good, Eldrick. And I agree. I think it's just there's just so much components when it comes to going green, and it's like, hey, the little things matter, right? Just like the straws and our consumption of food, the vehicle we drive, adapting to solar resources, turning off the light. It's the little things that matter. And I always tell people this in marketing as well, because that's where my area of expertise is, right? I always say it's the little things that you don't think matters in marketing. It's the little things that count. And it's the little things that slowly adds up, even with business, right? A lot of people go, oh, well, I don't have a huge budget. Well, you got to start somewhere, and it might be, hey, if you don't have budget, then it takes action. You have to go out there, you have to verbalize, put yourself out there because you don't have the budget. No one else can do it for you, then you got to do it yourself, right? And I think it's the same thing. And I think even my friend here, AY, his story, right? Like he wasn't being heard, right? So he was out singing with a battery, and then, one thing led to the other, he went and put himself out there, and he believed in something, and he stood behind it. And then the United Nations heard, and slowly, AY's getting ready to go Europe. So, AY, well, right now we have you connected. Tell us about your trip. Like, what are the next big things that's happening?
A lot. It's one bar, so I hope I stay connected. So I just got a couple of things. One, I made the theme song for FAO. That's the Food Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, right? Like one of the biggest organizations in the world. So yeah, they're flying me out. We're gonna bring Chick J29 there, and I'm gonna do a special performance of that song, closing out Obama in Rome, in the Roman ruins.
Wow.
And there's a ton of other stuff happening that week. I'll spend a whole week in Rome, and I also heard I'm doing the Rockin' 1000. There's this huge thing where they sell out like a football stadium and have 1,000 bands play the one song, and they want me to headline and launch what they call the Song for Climate around COP26, which is like the biggest deal in the world right now, right? With my just came in today, and it'll be aired on Sky TV. And before I head out to Rome, I'll be kicking it with Brian Marquise, who's tour manager for Billie Eilish at the Global Citizen Festival in New York, and then before that, the Governor's Ball right in New York as well. So just things are just moving so quickly, and I think it's because, again, this generation is ready for this, and I think the sustainability, green, concept that I'm bringing to the industry and to world in general, I think it's finally catching on. So I'm happy, man.
Awesome.
Kelly said, musicians get to have all the fun.
Oh,
maybe I can
do stages. Like, I was gonna say, what's made me different is doing a concert in the middle of some Honduran village, way out in Honduras or Haiti, right, where people have never had a concert because there's no venue for 100 miles, right? They got to walk 5 miles, with buckets on their head for their water. Like that's where I've been doing concerts. So, and I will continue to bring music to people who maybe never experience it. So yeah, musicians have a lot of fun. I've had fun, but it's also not always fun carrying batteries and things 5 and 6 miles. So, then I put the work in.
No, and it's great. I just recently did a post on social media, and I think it goes with what we're talking about tonight, right? I think a lot of times we focus so much on the people who are there, right? We put so much, like as we're talking about going green and all these things, we know Elon Musk, right, for what he's doing in regards to sustainable energy because he's Elon Musk. We know Jeff Bezos because of Amazon. We know that Bill Gates because of Microsoft. But we only know them because of the success, right? You know Gary Vaynerchuk because who Gary is today. But what we forget is the journey that got them there. Yeah. Because no one talks about, a lot of times we think, oh, these people all of a sudden wake up and they're just successful, right? People forget the work and the time that was put in and failing forward year after year. Yeah, because no one focuses the bottom of the iceberg. We only see the tip, and we always see this image when people are sharing in motivational posts or, social media posts, the iceberg image, right? But until you're the person working hard day in and day out on the grind and you see nothing, you don't truly understand that iceberg image that everyone posts. Because it's all underneath the water, and it's the pain that people go through that very rarely people talk about this on social media. People all talk about the success. I mean, I know AY understands this, Eldrick, even Jeremy, right? It's the times when you're laid off, when you don't have a job, right? It's the times when you sing your heart out and no one even recognizes you because you're just another musician. It's the times, same with me, yeah, it's great. I have a company now. There's people that work for me. But there was days I didn't know how I'm going to turn on the lights or pay my bills because there's 1,000 marketers out there within 2-mile radius of where I live, and everyone's doing the exact same thing. But guess what? 7 years doing the exact same thing. I never changed my message, who I am and what I do. And I think AY can attest to him, same thing. 7 years ago, what he was doing in the street is the same thing he's doing now. It's just amplified so much louder. And it's the same thing. I think Eldrick, Jeremy, you guys, we do this show alone, right? Bottoms up perspective. There's nights we have 0 viewers. There's nights there's 2. But I can tell you right now, 74 episodes, and we're still here, right? Even when no one's listening. We're still here, at the bottom, right?
We're still at the bottom of the iceberg.
But people don't understand though, it's the consistency that matters. And I think when it comes to renewable energy and going green, I think there are a lot of activists out there. People like, Kelly or, people like that's hop on and mention different things like Mr. Manning here. You guys really believe in this stuff. You guys, it's the heart. You guys really care. And it takes people who really believe. And over time, you'll see the impact and the influence. But this stuff doesn't happen overnight. And it might not even happen in our generation. Us 4 here, it might happen when our grandchildren's, you'll see adoption of all electric cars. You'll see adoption of solar panels. It might not be in today because, hey, we aren't the ones feeling the impact. So just remember, okay, when you're out there, and this is to everyone that's out there, whoever's watching the show, not watching the show, is if you want to do something great or you want to make an impact, it takes doing it over and over and over and over and over again. Even in a world where there's no one watching, no one's listening, if you truly believe in something, you keep going, eventually, you know, you're going to be heard. You're going to make a difference. And it might not be in your lifetime. But I can tell you one thing, Michelangelo made an impact, and it wasn't in his lifetime.
Right.
I want to. Can I just try and close this off?
Yep.
I want to link up a few points. Yeah. Whatever AY said, people might not know what to do. Kevin, what you say about activists, and Aldrich talking about technology and policies. I think I just want to put it out there. When we talk about going green and going green technology, the technology is there. Technology is here, but at the same time, there's also the technology that is sucking up more energy than before. Look at your phones, mobile phones, right? The power bricks. How many watts are they drawing now to power your phone from 0% to 100% in 10 minutes? Yeah, you have more phones than before. So my point is, don't wait for the policies. You don't have to wait for the technologies. Be the activist yourself. Make that little changes, right? If you don't know what to do, just go out on the internet and read how you can save power. Give you a very simple example, right? Let's not talk about switching off the lights, right? How many devices you have in your home that is on standby that draws energy? Is your TV on standby? Is your, PlayStation, computer, whatever's on standby? That's drawing energy. Do you know that? Can you do something about that, right? Don't put them on standby, just switch off the mains, right? That itself is a small step, and you can be the activist doing that to don't talk about go green, just reduce waste, right? Those are the little things that you can help really, that will go a long way. Don't wait for policies. Don't need to wait for activists. Don't need to follow people and follow influencers' advice, what they stand for. Be there yourself. Do that for yourself. Yeah, and I think that's pretty much the little thing I want to share my thoughts on this topic. Yeah, not really technology. It's there. Do something about it yourself.
So AY, how can people
Oh.
AY dropped off.
That's one bar. He lasts long enough.
No, that's good, Jeremy. And I think, for those of you out there, you can follow AY through Battery Tour. He is everywhere. He's on TikTok. He's on YouTube. He's on, LinkedIn, all the social media channels. Also AY Music. And hey, follow him. He has music on Spotify, and I agree with Jeremy. We don't have to wait. Oh, there's AY. So AY, I'll let you. So how can people get plugged in and support your paradigm shift?
Yo, I'm back. I heard paradigm shift.
Yep. So I was just saying, AY. So how can people support your paradigm shift, and how can people get plugged in?
Yeah, totally. Yo. Well, whenever I do these things, I say, hey, I don't know who's watching. So if you are watching and you see an outlet, like I wear outlet logo on my shirt all the time, right? The battery towards the outlet. If you're around the outlet, if your laptop's plugged into one, your phone is, take a photo, take a picture of an outlet, post that on social media, tag Battery Tour, find AY, tag me, hashtag, and then I'll look and see who posted and I'll get plugged in, I'll follow you, right? But I'll say the main thing to do is to get plugged into the Battery Tour, right? Like, we are helping people get access to energy all over the world. We are helping achieve the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. If you're into music, you want to volunteer, you want to make a change, even just learning what actions you want to take as we develop this project, we will continue to put out actions that also are measurable for you to do as an outlet for change. So, hey, get plugged in, and I hope to see you guys soon.
Oh,
I
thank you,
can't hear
Kelly.
Kevin. Kevin's on mute. Is that
Kevin.
me or him?
Oh, sorry, guys.
Oh,
I'm on mute. I don't do that often, but it happens. So, anyway, hey, I appreciate you, Kelly, and thank you for catching our show, and greatly appreciated. Thanks for being a fan. Follow Battery Tour, also Bottoms Up Perspective, and this is a global show on trending topics. And hey, we probably will see AY go live on. It's a global road show, right? While he's in Europe as well.
yeah, definitely the
So,
Global Gold Music Road Show. Yeah, it's gonna be really great, crazy.
yep.
You,
So
AY, AY,
yep.
AY. You know who to look for if you're in Singapore. Yeah, you got two friends
Now,
now.
who? Yes, of course, guys. I can't wait to come out there soon, guys. Soon.
All
So
right.
I was telling AY that's one of our goals. You know, we gotta work on getting him connected with the BTS, and then we'll do an Asia. He needs to do an Asia tour. You know, in some of the
We're
third
definitely
world
making that
countries.
happen. Yeah,
Yep.
I
Like
got a
can't.
couple of friends that have mentioned BTS too. Like, I guess they're big over there, so that's definitely gonna happen for this Project 17.
Yep. And so we'll need
Awesome.
to. I was telling him, you know, like you got Cambodia, you got Vietnam, Singapore, and different, not Singapore, but, you know, Philippines and stuff where, you know, sustainable energy is big. You know, it can really make a difference. So, no, we're glad to have you, AY, and thanks for being on the show. And good to see Jeremy Eldrick again. So be sure to follow our co-founders and Bottoms Up Perspective, and thank you. And just to let you guys know, we don't take breaks much, but next Wednesday we're going to be off, and then we'll be back the following. So thank you for being on our show, and we'll talk to you all later.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for joining us.
Thank you. Peace out, guys.